What on earth is this?
India, the Republic of Korea, even the United States of America, all boast Supreme Court buildings resplendent with a righteous grandeur, a symbol for a legal system keen to portray itself as stable, all-powerful, and even vaguely intimidating. And in order to get a taste of the aesthetics of Benelux justice, I've travelled to Brussels, where Belgium built one of the largest and most imposing courthouses ever constructed, a building designed to project permanence, authority, and national confidence. But unfortunately, it now looks like this, a big mountain of scaffolding rather than a lovely palace. And this is a problem, because this isn't some abandoned peripheral oddity on the edge of town. This is the Palace of Justice, you know, it's Belgium's gigantic national courthouse, sitting in one of the most prominent spots in the city. And for this video, I've brought along someone who knows a worrying amount about weird things in Belgium.
Who are you?
My name's Tim. I run a channel called The Tim Traveller. If you like Gabe's videos, you might like my ones. It's quite similar.
I ripped his off.
I've started ripping some of his stuff off. Yeah, I make travel videos for nerds.
Excellent. I mean, that sounds great.
Right?
Yeah. And you've made videos
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you very much for joining. You've made videos in Belgium before, as I understand.
I have, yes.
And you're a big
Possibly my favourite country to make videos in.
Yeah.
Because 50% of them are some mad, stupid thing that has been caused by Belgian politics. And the other 50% is some brilliant thing that has been done by just Belgians.
Thumbs up,
Would you like
Belgium.
to guess which one this is?
Right, so Brussels. Since Belgian independence from the Netherlands in 1830, it's been by far the largest city and capital of the country, with a convenient location right on the boundary of the French-speaking south and the Flemish-speaking north of the country. So about 12 years before independence, in 1818, an original Palace of Justice had been constructed in Brussels, set to serve as a regional Supreme Court, and after independence, it was adopted as the National Supreme Court of the new nation, but the authorities decided it wasn't quite big enough. It was also seemingly quite shoddily built, as within 20 years it was apparently already falling apart. As a newly independent nation, and one that was trying to hold two, or in fact three, disparate linguistic and ethnic groups together in a time of pretty heightened tensions, the powers that be wanted to go big when it came to government buildings. In around 1837, the first plans were drawn up to replace the old court with something much more substantial, but actually agreeing on what this thing should look like proved pretty difficult. Eventually, in the 1860s, so after literally 30 years of faffing around, the project landed in the hands of architect Joseph Poulaert, who was already well known across Belgium for his very large public works projects, and predictably for a man who had been tasked with creating literally the largest building on Earth, he kind of went all out. Nice. Done. The final design was absolutely ridiculous. An enormous eclectic mixture of Greco-Roman classicism, heavy monumental masonry, and almost vaguely like Mesopotamian-looking massing, all centered around an immense dome. Even by the standards of 19th century state architecture, which was hardly known for its subtlety, the Palace of Justice was considered pretty excessive. However, the problem was that the old court resided in the Sablon district of Brussels. That is true. However, that is not where I'm standing when I filmed this. Sablon is just to the north. It's up here. Where I'm standing in this clip is called Galgenberg, which was extremely residential. And with the authorities deciding that the new court needed to be built exactly on the site of the old court, as you've probably now surmised from the fact that I just explained that they were in two different places, this is not true. I'm not 100% sure how I came to this conclusion, but I made a balls up there. That meant that the massive upgrade in size would require quite a lot of people to move. That is still true. Galgenberg, this district that they built the new one in, was very residential, so they did have to move a lot of people. So at least I got that right. Moving on. Well, one take, I'm happy with that. According to the Brussels Tourist Board, the footprint of the new building would be 20,000 square meters. For reference, this is about the same size as St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican, the largest church in the world, and 3 times the size of the Royal Palace in Brussels. And thus 3,000 homes in the Marolles-Sablon area had to be demolished to make way for it. And as a result, yeah, it wasn't super popular. Again, this all made sense to the government. The elevated position of the new Palace of Justice on top of a hill gave the future courthouse a commanding presence over Brussels, visible from huge distances away, exactly the sort of location you'd choose if your objective was to project authority and permanence. Despite all the controversy surrounding its construction, however, the Palace of Justice finally opened or was completed in 1883 and quickly became one of the defining landmarks of Brussels. The immense dome dominated the skyline and the building became one of the most recognizable symbols of the Belgian state. Unfortunately, the 20th century would not be especially kind to it. As German forces retreated from Brussels in 1944 towards the end of the Second World War, the Palace of Justice was deliberately set on fire. The dome was badly damaged, huge parts of the building were wrecked, and for a while there were even discussions about whether parts of the structure, or the whole thing, should just be torn down. Eventually, however, the building was restored, the dome rebuilt, in fact slightly taller than before, and for a few decades the Palace of Justice just carried on as normal. But then something rather weird happened. The sheer size of the building, decades of pollution, water ingress and deferred maintenance all started to take their toll. Pieces of stone reportedly began falling from the facade by the 1960s, and by the early 1980s, something had to be done.
It's like something out of 1984.
Well, the book.
No, the year.
Yeah.
In 1984, scaffolding started going up around the building, and then it just never really came down. Partly that's because the Palace of Justice is an absolute monster of a building. Restoring the facade alone means dealing with around 10,000 square meters of scaffolding, covering thousands of sculptures, mouldings and decorative stone elements, all while the courthouse underneath continues to operate. But the scale of the building is only half the story. Over the decades, the project has repeatedly changed direction. Governments have changed, funding has changed, restoration priorities have changed, and what began as a relatively straightforward program of repairs gradually evolved into a full-scale restoration of one of Europe's most complicated historic buildings.
So I've lost my selfie stick, so I'm having to hold my tripod with my camera on it.
I am surprised at how bad it is.
Yeah.
I didn't get where I am today without going to abandoned Belgian buildings before. So I've been to Charleroi, I've seen what that's like, but I'm surprised to see something this important and this abandoned in the middle of the city.
Yeah, this central is just so odd. It is quite a sight. I was saying to Tim, I can't quite decide if I think it's beautiful in a way or sort of hideous. I wouldn't say hideous, but it's just...
It's on the borderline, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly.
It could go either way.
If there is a borderline between those two things, then this is on it.
Once the scaffolding was up and the scale of the works was finally realised, it was split into 4 phases that were to take place across many decades, ending initially in 2030.
I think my favourite fact about this whole saga, and what should be everyone's favourite fact about it, is that in the year 2000, the scaffolding had been stood for 16 years, withstanding Belgium's, on average, pretty rubbish weather. And as a result, it had started to rust and degrade. And thus, the government had to pay an extra 1.5 million euros to set up another layer of scaffolding to help hold the original layer of scaffolding up. Which just about sums this whole thing up, really.
Gabe, did you say in 2000 they added scaffolding to it?
That's what I read online, yeah.
Because what I read online was that in 2023, when they announced the most recent renovation, they added some more scaffolding as well. So has this happened?
They've double scaffolded.
Has this happened 3 times?
They've got the
Has
old
it been
triple scaffolded. Sorry, yeah.
This is where Belgians go in the comments and say, you know how many times
this
it has
is
been scaffolded.
Perpetual scaffold machine. So what was originally supposed to be just a temporary maintenance job ended up morphing into one of Europe's longest running construction projects, really. So endless bureaucratic delays, changing plans constantly, and the just insane cost of the whole thing means that the scaffolding has now just become a part of the Brussels skyline and is visible from pretty much everywhere, including here. So there's good news for people who like facades. Apparently later this year, so summer 2026, the scaffolding on the front facade on this square will be taken down. And that will be quite a big moment, I guess, because then the front of the building will be visible.
And look, Update from the future, from when I recorded this video. Look, they've removed it. It's free, you can see it now. Isn't that exciting? They did it on the 10th of June, apparently, is when they removed the last bit of scaffolding from the facade. But you can see at the top here, there's still loads on the dome. But it's still not time for celebration, because though the facade has come down on time, as they said in June 2026, in 2023, they announced that that original 2030 deadline was to be pushed back by 5 years. So now this project is not going to be finished until 2035. So we've got at least another 9 years of scaffolding. Oh, and also the bill is supposed to be apparently 600 million euros overall, which is just fantastic. Well done, Brussels. You've really knocked this out of the park. Either way, while the scaffolding, particularly the scaffolding on the facade, was still up, Tim and I decided that there was only one sensible thing to do, which is go on a Ferris wheel and admire the scaffolding from above. Obviously, the big problem with this shot is that I don't actually have anything to say. Tim and I have gone on the Ferris wheel. We were going to film a sort of interview or section where we're both on camera, but we don't fit in the frame because the Ferris wheel cabin is so small. But we are getting a very good view of the scaffolding from up here. See, there you go. That sums it up, really, the fact that I didn't say we're getting a good view of the Palace of Justice. I said we're getting a good view of the scaffolding.
Oh, it's unbeatable.
It's just, that is top tier scaffolding. As I said earlier, I still can't decide if I think this thing is beautiful or hideous, but I do know one thing, and that's that there is absolutely nothing else quite like it in Europe. A building constructed to be one of the great monuments of 19th century architecture and of judicial power has somehow become one of the continent's most recognizable building sites. And honestly, like, that's just pure Belgium. Right, now here's the outro that we recorded. Okay, right, shall we? Okay, here we go. Get into character, come on. I'm like Daniel Day-Lewis. So, Tim, thank you very much for joining me today in Brussels.
Thank you for having me.
Well, no, I hope you've enjoyed yourself. And at the end of all of these videos, I normally do a what on earth is this certified do or don't come here, or kind of maybe come here. Would you like to do the honors this time? Would you say you should come here?
Well, I'm obviously going to say you absolutely should come here. This is amazing.
It is pretty amazing. It's so much bigger than I expected. Although it's a little more run down than I was expecting as well. I don't know, I would say come to Brussels on a sunny day, if you can time it properly. But, I don't know.
Yeah, totally come here.
Okay, listen to him then. He's a lot more positive than me. So come to Brussels, come and see the Justice Palace. All right, that's good. Did you mean this stud?
The tiny little metal thing, yeah.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
I've lost the stud, hang on. There he is.
Hey, I was waiting for that one.
There it is, there. Here, okay. I was too far over. There. There, fucking hell.
What on earth is this? Is that good?
That's good.